Before we move on to the back page of the practice test, I just want to make sure everybody knows how to write a sentence for this in case Alex asks you or I ask you on a paper pencil test. So we said that Alex could ask for the fraction. So you could write 35 halves hours. It could ask for the mixed number where you'd write 17 and a half hours. And I showed you how to do that on the calculator. Or if it asks for a decimal, you'd write 17.5 hours. If it wants a sentence, you reread the last sentence. How long would it take you to split the firewood? It would take 17 and a half hours for me to split the wood. So that's what T is. That's me. That was my cousin. This was us together. So when I find T, that's telling me how long I would take. So my cousin takes 7 hours. I take 17 and a half hours. And if we're working together, it takes 5 hours. Okay. So always look at the last sentence of the word problem, and that will tell you how to answer your question. So that will be the second to the last problem on your test is a work problem. Okay, let's go ahead and go to the back page. I think we'll be able to get all of these on this page. I don't think we need a separate sheet of paper for this. So this is the last problem on the test. I didn't put them in this order. I put them in the order you learned them. So this is the last problem on the test. I think there's 13 problems total. So this is number 13, if I remember right. So we call these motion problems. So the last one was called a work problem. This is a motion problem. So after riding at a steady rate for 60 miles, and in the video I showed you how to look at the label, and that tells you what it is. Rate's not miles, time is not miles, distance is miles. So I'm riding the bike and I went 60 miles. Then I had a flat tire and I walked 8 miles. So again, walking, go to distance. The cycling rate was 3 times faster than the walking rate. 3 times faster. Remember how we learned? Find than. Whatever follows than, that's my x. So walking rate is x, or in this case, maybe it makes more sense to write r since it's rate. So whatever follows than is my x, or my r, or whatever you're going to use. So then cycling was 3 times faster. So that would be 3 times r. I think on the test it might say 3 miles per hour faster. Then it would be 3 plus r. So if it doesn't say times, don't use a times sign. If it says more than or something like that, then you use a plus or a minus sign. Or what if it says the walking rate was 3 less than the biking rate? Well, the biking rate would be r, walking would be r minus 3. So just be prepared. It's not always multiplication. If it's more than, it's plus. If it's less than, it's minus. But this one said times, so that's why I went 3 times the walking rate. Okay, if the total time, so total means add the times, is 7, at what rate was the cyclist riding? So we ran out of words, we ran out of problem, so that means, I'm going to have to concoct a formula in order to figure out what time is. Well, we all know rate times time equals distance, right? You've learned that in a lot of your other classes. Well, I need to know what time is, so I need to solve this formula for time. Well, how do I get time alone? I do the opposite. So the opposite of times r is divide by r. So this is my formula for time. So I go right up here and I write it. And every single time you do one of these, do that again. Don't just guess what the formula is. Derive it so you don't get it wrong. So in this, I need to put distance over rate. So distance, I'm going to get a littler pen so that I'm not taking up the whole box. So distance is 60 over rate, which is 3r. And then this one's time, distance is 8 over rate, which is r. And this is why I love these problems. I know I say I love a lot of stuff, but I think the word problems in this section are super easy. Just got a few things to remember. You have to remember the work formula, 1 over T1 plus 1 over T2 equals 1 over TT. You have to remember rate times time equals distance for this one, but the actual working is really not so hard. And look at, I've already written my equation. I don't even have to guess, because that's probably the most common thing I hear from students. Well, I read the problem, but I never know how to write the equation. Well, it's already written for you. All you had to know was the time spent cycling and walking. That means cycling plus walking is 7. And then your equation's written. So now let's put it in a horizontal format. So 60 over 3r plus 8 over r equals 7. So look at that nice simple little equation. We just need to multiply by an LCD to get rid of the fractions, and then we solve. So for my denominators, this one's 1, I see an r, and I see a 3, and I see another r. So what's the highest exponent I see on 3? 1. What's the highest exponent I see on r? R. Remember, I never add these together. So my LCD is 3r. So I extend this fraction and put 3r here. I extend this fraction bar and I put 3r here. And yes, I have to multiply 7 by 3r as well. I can't skip whole numbers. Everything gets multiplied by 3r. So here my 3's are gone, my r's are gone, so there's 1. So we're just left with 60 plus, here my r's are gone, so I get 24 equals 21r. Look at that beauty. Is that easy or what? So the word problems are actually easier than the other problems on the test. You just have to be able to fill out the box and set them up. So then we get 21r. I'm just going to switch sides, equals like terms, so we get 84. So 21r equals 84. Divide both sides by 21. And we get r equals 4. So then we look, oh, what's r? Oh, r's rate. So we need a label for it. So it'll be miles per hour. And I know on the paper pencil test, I'm not sure about Alex, I asked for both rates. So let's answer both questions. So bicycling, so biking, I take my r, and everywhere I see an r, I plug in 4. So I can see on biking, he was going 3 times 4, which equals 12 miles per hour. Walking was just r, so it's just 4 miles per hour. So make sure you label both answers, make sure you know which one's which, but it's all about going back into the table and plugging in your r. So every r in this problem now has a value of 4. 4, 4, 4, 4. If they had asked for time, you would have plugged in the time column. This one says rate. So on this particular one, they only wanted the bike rate. But like I said, I know on the paper pencil test, I asked for both. And Alex could possibly ask for both as well. So, but this one just wanted the bike. So if this was the Alex problem, you would just type in 12 miles per hour. Cool, huh? Well, see, I told you the word problems are not hard in this section. Just have to practice them. As long as you practice on Alex, you'll be fine. Okay, this next one is a translation problem. If you came from '09, you did a lot of translation in '09. If you didn't come from '09, hopefully in other classes you've had translation. So what a translation is you just go left to right and you just translate the words into symbols. So a number. So when they say a number, I write X. Plus. Bring down the plus sign. 9 times. So 9 times. Okay, now here's where most students make a mistake. It's reciprocal. So what's the reciprocal of X? Well, if I said 4, what's the reciprocal of 4? 1 over 4. So X, what's the reciprocal of X? 1 over X. But I've had people do 1 over 9. It didn't say 9's reciprocal. When it says it's referring to the number. Then is means equals in math. And then last we have 10. So like I said, it's left to right. Translate word for word. Don't switch the order. Don't do anything. Just translate word for word. So we should represent our variable. X is the number. Okay, so this is a multiplication problem. So before we get started, we do need to multiply. So it's a whole number times a fraction. So put that over 1. So we get X plus 9 over X equals 10. And then after that, it's just a nice, simple little problem. So we want to get rid of the fractions. We don't want to solve with fractions. It's very, very hard. So we multiply by the LCD, which in this case, there's only one denominator. This one's 1, this one's 1, so the LCD has to be X. So beside every single term, whether it's a fraction or not, I need to multiply by X. So my first term turns into X squared. And remember what I said about the fractions. Cancel first, write what's left second. So plus 9 equals 10x. And now you have a problem from chapter 4. Anytime you're asked to solve a quadratic, and I am, you must first set it equal to 0. And it is not set equal to 0. So this needs to move over here. So we do the opposite, minus 10x minus 10x. So my equation is x squared minus 10x plus 9 equals 0. Now look at that. Weren't they nice? They gave us a sweet little easy double bubble. So, and we know it's double bubble because the leading coefficient's 1. We know the signs are the same. And in this case, they're both going to be negative. So x minus, x minus. And we learned in chapter 4, sometimes on quadratics, both answers don't make sense. Sometimes they do. So we just have to check that. So they're both negative. Factors of 9 that add to 10 are 9 and 1. And then the last thing we learned in chapter 4 was, the very last topic was if A times B equals 0, either A is 0 or B is 0. So we solve those two equations to find our two solutions. So either x minus 9 is 0 or x minus 1. So add 9. So x equals 9. Excuse me, is my first solution. Add 1. X equals 1 is my second. So are they both a number? Find the number. Yep, since they both work. Then I go, sweet. I put both my answers, 1 and 9, in here. So that means 1 plus 9 times its reciprocal is 10, and 9 plus 9 times its reciprocal is 10. So they both work. They both make sense. So those are our two solutions, 1 and 9. So we show the reader they both make sense